All right, what's going on, people? Back with a bang. This is the Money Management, aka the Wealth Prince, and in this video we're going to be looking at a bit of technical analysis. Now, I don't want to make it too complicated for you guys, and I'm going to try my best to keep it as simple as possible. But we're just going to be looking at, candlesticks, some trend lines, support, resistance, charts overall, how you can get a better gauge of what you're looking at when it comes to trading. We're going to look at trend identification, structural levels. Again, candlestick patterns, explaining what candlesticks actually are, because I know a lot of people don't actually understand what they are, what they do, what they represent. So we're going to look at all of that, and hopefully by the end of the video you're going to learn a lot more about technical analysis, trading styles, and hopefully you can go and use those and apply those into your trading this week and also forevermore. Now, I think this is going to be the first of a few different videos because, like I said, I'm going to try and keep it simple in this one, but maybe further down the line I'll start introducing a few patterns, maybe some indicators, volume, RSI, MACD, to show you guys how I use those to help myself. But once again, we're going to try and keep it as simple as possible so you guys understand the overall context of looking at charts and using technical analysis before you trade. So I'm just going to hop onto TradingView right now, and I think the first thing we can do is honestly just look at candlesticks and understand exactly what they do and what they are. So I'm on TradingView right now, and actually this is a chart I was just looking at a few minutes ago. But to be honest, let's first look at a candlestick just so we can really get the very basics down. Okay, so if we just pick any random chart, and we can actually look at a candlestick on this chart, and hopefully you guys can see exactly what a candlestick does, what candlestick means. Now, I'm going to go and look at a one-day chart. I'm going to zoom in a lot for you guys to see this. So, all right, okay, so you guys can see obviously green candlesticks, red candlesticks. Now, let me just explain it really simply to you guys. So you have candlesticks, and I'm looking at the 1 minute candlesticks. So candlesticks have 4 main points. You can have the high of the day, the low of the day, what it opened at, what it closed at. So I'm going to look at candlesticks on the 1 day here. So that means for that day, that trading day. If you look at this green candlestick, here at the top is what it closed at on that day. Here at the bottom is what it opened at. Because this is green, that's how it goes. Up here is the high of its day, and down here is the low of its day. That's the wicks. Just so you can see a little bit clearly, here is a longer wick, and again, high, low, what it closed at, what it opened at. If you look at the red candlestick, it's slightly different. The highs and the lows are the same. You see the thick part of the body and the top part, that is what it opened at. Now, below is what it closed at. So it opened higher than it closed. On the other hand, if it closes higher than it opened, well, then it had a green day. Obviously the price was higher than what it opened at. So let me kind of zoom out a little bit. So let's say I look at the weekly chart, the 5-day chart. You're seeing all these different candlesticks, and up here you see the 5 minute. 5 minute is, so every single candlestick here represents 5 minutes worth of price action. I'm going to remove these two indicators, the blue line and the red line you see there, just to make this very simple for you guys. Now, okay, so you're still seeing this chart, and obviously it's in an uptrend pattern. Now, technical analysis is purely for identifying patterns and trends which suggest what a stock is going to do in the future. Obviously, fundamental analysis is a different story, but each of the candlesticks you see on this chart represents a period of time. So if you go up here and you click 5 minutes, each candlestick represents 5 minutes of time. If you go down here and click 3 hours, each candlestick represents 3 hours worth of time. The shorter time period you choose, so 1 hour, 1 minute, those are a lot more detailed than the 1 day, the 1 month, and you can go from 1 minute up to 1 month, so you can gauge in different ways. So if you combine all the candlesticks and all the movements together, that's the foundation of us finding market direction, which helps us determine the trend and eventually support and resistance. So the candlesticks are obviously going to help us gauge whether a stock was, bullish on the 3 hour, or bullish on the 15 minute, or bullish on the 30 seconds, whatever. Bullish or bearish, of course. And understanding how to read these candlestick charts is the foundation for any good trading strategy. Now, I'm going to show you guys a few different, not directly patterns, but just look at a chart and explain a few things that are happening here. Because I know when you look at these charts, it can get confusing and you're not sure what to use for specific trading styles. Okay, so now that we've established that, let's just go over a few interesting charts and we can kind of look at the price movement and see where they reach specific highs, specific lows. Use the combination of candlesticks to see where stocks pulled back, or to see where trends continued, trends started, etc. There's an interesting chart, HMY. Now, this is why I say it's interesting. Clearly, in the past, I'd say past month, 5 weeks, this stock has been in a downwards movement, downtrend. Now, let's zoom out a little bit. 6 months over. You're going to see something pretty common here. And that is this. You see the stock hits lows here, lows around the same pattern here, which is where we are right now. And if I look at the 1 day chart, you see it hit lows here back in February and similar lows at the end of June, beginning of July. So let's kind of zoom out a little bit more further backwards and see if we see anything around this price point of 386. So we do, and that is where the stock was previously uptrending last year in May. It hit this part of 380. You can zoom in a little bit more. Around 380. We hit this like 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So why is that interesting? So the first time it hit this 380 price point, it was around August 2019, September 2019. It hit that again in January 2020. It hit it again in May of 2020, a couple times actually. So from August 19 until May 2020, we saw the price action hit around the $3.80 mark on this stock. It hit that line, that specific line, 3 times and bounced back down. So the reason this is important is because the next time, it's already hit that line 3 times and come back down. The next time that happened, you expect it to come back down again. That is a trend. That's how a trend works. And that also is called resistance, by the way. You should know that, but that's called resistance. Now, let's go to June 2020. It got to around the 380 mark this time. And what do you know? It did not stop there this time. It did not hit it and come back down. This time it continued to go above it, which is what we're going to get onto in a second. But what I'm trying to highlight here is, sometimes you have run-ups and then they bounce, they hit somewhere, and you expect the market to turn around purely because it's happened 2-3 times before, which is exactly what happened in this instance. But on the 4th instance, it hit that part, and this time it did not pull back. This time it continued the uptrend, and it made not only higher highs, but the stock actually almost doubled. I think it did double actually at one point, if I remember correctly. But this is how you point out the highs and lows of a chart and figure out what the trend may be. So what I would do in this situation, what you should be doing in this situation, is just draw a simple line to figure out, where the highs, where the lows are. So let me see. Oops, not indicators. Oh, there we go. Delete that. Let me get rid of that. Okay, so we start our line here. Support and resistance, okay? Support and resistance. Support and resistance. You draw a long line here. And what I'd always recommend you guys to do when you're looking for support and resistance in charts is don't just draw a line to where your chart ends. Draw an extended line, so further down. So I've drawn a line all the way to the end here because in the future it's going to help you. So I've just drawn a couple lines there. So the reason I've drawn these lines, just to clarify, is to point out the highs and lows across a chart. And you guys should be doing this so you can figure out whether a stock will continue in its current trend or it will break the trend. Again, it hit this point and bounced back down multiple times. So it was continuing a trend, but the first time that it broke past that, it broke the trend and the stock continued to shoot upwards. So the place you can expect the market to turn around while in option play or even just swing trading is a previous point of resistance or sometimes support and different levels through specific zones on the chart. So with this stock HMY, you can expect the market to turn around at 386. Every time it's coming from below, from 220, from 250, from 350, whatever, you can expect it to start coming back down once it hits around the $380 level, which it did multiple times. Now, how can you figure out the break of trend? How do you see the break of trend without, looking back on a chart? How do you see that in advance? You might now need to narrow it down to the, instead of a day chart, to a 45-minute chart or a 1-hour chart, but a much smaller time frame. And that is kind of how you start to figure out, what's happening with the stock. So in times that you see a stock start to move upwards a little bit, you might be like, okay, this is a bullish trend, which it may be, but you might also see periods where small pullbacks occur. Okay, so let's move on to the interesting part, because this is why I picked this stock, picked this chart. What I want to highlight now is we broke that trend, we broke the 380 resistance, and we went all the way up to $7. Now it's start to trend down again. Let's look at something here. Zoom in a little bit. In March of 2021, February 2021, and now we hit the 380 mark, which was a previous point of resistance. Now, once we hit that point, the trend did not continue. The stock did not keep going down. The stock bounced back up. That is why I'm saying those are key levels of support and resistance. When you look at this chart, when you look at how 3 times from 2019 all the way to last year 2020, the stock kept hitting 386 and fell back down. When you look at the fact that it broke through and now came back down to that level of 380 and bounced back up, you can see this as a strong level of support now. The stock made higher highs, the stock broke the resistance, and now, as you guys should know, previous levels of resistance become new levels of support. So if I was planning to make a trade on this stock, what would I do? Because it's easy looking back at a stock, what it did 6 months ago, what it did end of 2019. What would I do now when I'm looking at it right now? Well, it's pretty simple. It's obviously going to go up or down. How do you know which way it's going? You would wait for a confirmation of uptrend. You would wait for the confirmation of reversal. Yes, it's been on a downtrend recently. Yes, previously when it hit 380, it bounced back up. But will it happen again? This is why you need to wait for the confirmation. A lot of people will now invest their money here. They'll say, okay, I'm going to swing trade this. I'm going to try and double my money, buy 100 shares, buy 1,000 shares, and wait for it to hit $7 again. Or maybe, $5.50 previous levels. What happens if people continue to sell, the stock continues to sell off, and now breaks below that point of support? Most likely, it's going to fall down. And if you look at any stocks, any patterns of, any charts, you don't want to enter any trades blindly. You want to wait for confirmation. So, when you look for trend breaks and trend changes, that's how you should be trading. So once the trend is confirmed and this stock starts to, bounce upwards again, and you see that it's starting to move, the price action is positive, and there's a lot of momentum, bullish momentum, then you can trade the stock. Then you can feel free to buy into this stock. But if it does, sell off a little bit, that is expected. But overall, it's still in a bullish uptrend. If I zoom out, I can see over the past 3-4 years, this stock has continuously been rising. So if I would like to buy this for long-term buy and holds, well, that could, be based on a load of different factors. But I would feel a lot safer buying it than seeing a stock which is, mainly on the downtrend and making lower lows, lower highs. This stock here, HMY, is at a very, very interesting price. Again, I'm going to say it. That 380 level of resistance, level of support. Our trend line touched the $380 price point around 2 or 3 times before. And if we connect the highs, the previous highs, they now are in line with the new lows. I mean, the trend lines won't always be perfect, and not all the candlesticks are going to touch the trend lines. But in this case, we've hit the trend line at 2 or 3 different points, with previous resistance, and now we've hit it with 2 different points of support. Your larger trend is what's going to help you see this kind of action. Without that larger trend, it's going to be a lot more difficult to gauge. So you want to zoom out. Remember, I looked all the way back to July or August 2019 to find this. If I looked at 1 month chart, then it's just solely in a downtrend. It doesn't look interesting at all. If you zoom out a little bit more, then it definitely helps. I mean, if I look back over the past 3 months, right, I'm still not seeing anything interesting. I don't see anything which gives me an idea of what the stock's going to do. It just looks like it's in a downtrend. So over the past 3 months, it's been bearish. But if you want to swing it for a longer period of time, you want to zoom out a little bit. If you want to look at the candlestick, the price action on a shorter scale of time, then you look at the 1 hour, the 45 minutes, etc. If you want to look at how it performed, very recently, you probably look at the 5-day or 1 month see it was, you know, very bearish, and look at the 1 hour chart. If you really want to day trade it, you can look at the 1 hour chart, the 1 minute chart, a lot, you know, shorter time periods, shorter time frames. I never really use the 1 second, 5 second, 15 second or 30 second charts, but also I don't really day trade, so that's probably why. So what that shows us is, when I show you the 3 month period, the 1 month period, and it's how it's been in a bearish pattern, your larger trend might be different to your immediate trend, and you might need to trade based on that. So if I was trading this in recent weeks, recent months, I'd probably be placing puts on it or shorting the stock. What I wouldn't be doing is buying it saying, yeah, it's going to hit 380 and bounce back up. That's not the way to trade. Again, what you want to do is confirm a pattern and then look at a shorter time period, and also use multiple different time frames to analyze this. So you could look at the 1 hour, you could look at the 2 hour, you can look at the 30-minute if you want. But the shorter time frames are going to provide you with a lot more detail. Another way you can help yourself trade with the trend is looking at the weekly time frame along with the daily time frame. So this is the day time frame, and you can say, okay, 380, 386, I guess, is the support and previous resistance. That's the daily time frame. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Okay, and you get confirmation. Okay, around this area, maybe 380 to 395. Yeah, there's a bit of funny action here, but it looks like it's a previous support resistance, and this is a lot clearer when you can, combine the weekly with the daily. If you're just someone who looks at just one of them, it's difficult to completely understand the trend. On the other hand, if you combine different periods of time on a chart, you can confirm what you see with your trends. You can start to look for patterns. For example, if I just zoom out again a little bit, 1 month, if I look at the 1 year, 1 month, which is a very weird chart to look at, but look, here's a double bottom in this year, March and February. Okay, so I'll look back at the past 6 months, and then, the 1 day in the past 6 months. And let me see, where's that double bottom? Okay, similar double bottom from, December to February. Is it triple bottom? Maybe. Or is this just a new double bottom? And if you do see something like a double bottom, which is a pattern, by the way, that would show you that the stock is about to lose momentum and begin reversing. If you saw a double top somewhere, so maybe previously, last year, if you saw, or even a triple top, again, the stock is going to lose bullish momentum and start downtrending soon. So let's just look at another stock just to kind of gauge, what's happening, price action, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to choose something that we all know of, Apple. If you guys don't know Apple, well, you should. That's what I will say. Apple, let's look at the past 1 year. Okay, so it seems like this has been in a bullish momentum. This has been uptrending, and it's not difficult to understand that this stock has been a buy in that sense. Now the price point is sitting at right now $139.96. This is it shows that the past few months, let's look at a 3 month period, the stock has been making higher highs. There was a period that was bullish. If you looked maybe at the 3 month 1 day, you can probably see some bullish patterns here. If you look at the 3 month 1 week, you can definitely see there's been bullish. Again, if you go back to candlesticks, this is where the stock closed at. This is stock where it opened at. No, hold on. Let me zoom in a little bit. If you look at the past weeks, okay, so Apple had 5 solid green weeks in a row, so the momentum is bullish. If you look at in the middle here, okay, some consolidation. Would I have wanted to trade it around that time, with options a month out? Probably not, because in those weeks in October, November, some weeks it was red, some weeks it was green. If you want to make it a lot easier for yourself, zoom out a little bit. You can also identify trend lines and start doing this. I don't want to make it too complicated again for you guys. Pick points along a chart where your candlesticks touch multiple times. Oh, hold on a second. Again, draw your line further out than the further out than the candlesticks, so you can gauge, what the price should be doing later on. Will it always do that? There's no guarantee, but that's why we draw the lines, so we can kind of gauge what's going on. So I'll do it like this, because here it broke the resistance, but it did not hold above and it fell back down soon. If you zoom out again a little bit more, you can start doing something a little bit more interesting, but I don't want to confuse you guys, and start drawing lines across like this. And this will really help you with the price action, because once you see something like this and you see a cross like this, you should know that the stock is going to start downtrending. But I think we can get into that in a different video. For now, that is pretty much it for the technical analysis. Again, a few things I want to clarify. Your larger trends might be different to your immediate trends, so you should be trading based on that. You also want to confirm what your stock is doing. So if you use a shorter time frame, then you might be able to gauge whether, you know, in the short term it's bearish, but overall long term, maybe a month out, 3 months out, it's bullish. You also want to make sure that when you draw your trend lines, they touch 2 or 3 different highs, and you want to extend your trend lines past the candlesticks. Connect the highs along the top, connect the lows at the bottom. I'll just show you guys an example of that. One more time. You guys are drawing your trend lines on any stock. I'll just show you guys any stock. I'll just look at Facebook now, just randomly. Let me just show you. Look at past 6 months. Okay. You want your trend lines to touch, you know, 2 or 3 points here, 2 or 3 points right here, all the way to here. Your trend line is touched, you know, 1, 2, 3 points. Connect the highs. Well, it was one high and then it broke above, and connect the lows. Let them touch. Even if it's just the wick that's touching, it doesn't have to be the whole candle body. Even if it's just a wick that's touching, it can help you gauge what exactly is happening with the stock, you know, in that period of time. I could also make another video which shows, you know, which time frames are best for what kind of trading. I think that would help, but this is just kind of a rough idea of how to trade trends, how to expect, you know, whether trends will continue or they will pull back and make new highs, or pull back and then continue downtrending. And lastly, I just want to clarify this. If you look at a stock like Facebook and you draw trend lines, well, let's just say you draw a line through the chart like this, up, and you see it pull back, you know, suddenly like this. So it's that pattern, and you see it start to move up again. More often than not, expect to see it continue the uptrends because it's bullish. So, and that goes for, you know, downtrending stocks as well. If you see this line, it's a bullish pattern. If you see the other way around, so you see down, up a little bit, down, what it means is it's downtrending, it's pulled back slightly, so it's bullish for a brief period of time, then it's going to continue the downtrend. Same on the other way, on the one you see on the screen. It's a bullish trend, it pulls back a little bit, but then it continues the bullish trend. Might hit previous, you know, form points of support. It might just be because it's a bullish trend. It might be based on news. It might be based on so many different things, you know. But either way, it doesn't matter. People can take profits. People can, you know, read news releases. People can use technical analysis. People can do whatever. What you want to focus on, without all the noise, is the overall trends of each and every chart, overall trends of each and every stock, the price action, what the candlesticks are doing on the daily, on the weekly, sometimes on the monthly. It will help you gauge what's been happening, how the stock has been performing. And from there, you can start to use other things like the indicators, like I explained. You can use your EMA lines, you can use your SMA lines, you can use your RSI, you can use your MACD, you can use volume. You can start using all those after a while. But first thing you want to do is get this technical analysis nailed on. The overall trend lines, the overall trend of the stock, support, resistance, bullish patterns, you know, bearish patterns. Afterwards, when you get, you know, a little bit more fancy, you can look at the candlesticks, start looking at, you know, different patterns with candlesticks. I mean, I don't want to get into things too deeply again. You can look at bullish haramis, bearish haramis, you know, butterfly, dragonfly. You can look at all sorts of stuff, you know, 1 candlestick patterns, 2 candlestick patterns, 3+ candlestick patterns. There's so much more to it, but you want to start off with the very basics. And, you know, hopefully this video has helped you in some way. Please, guys, if you do enjoy this video, if you did enjoy it, please drop that thumbs up. It took some time to make. I'll try to upload this tomorrow, so Monday. You can do that on your day off. And yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Make sure you guys check out all those links in the description. We've got a lot going on there. By the way, this is my own smartwatch company, so check that out as well. And yeah, have a good day. Hope you guys can learn something new. I got into making you got stocks to be watching. See you guys next time for another video. Peace.